And we are on. Hello and welcome to Sports Unhinged. I am Moe and I'm joined by Eugita and Mark. And today we've got a special guest because Kansas is back alive. They're alive. They've exited the grave and they're in the discussion again. So we thought we'll bring along Jamison, our resident
J-Dog.
Kansas fan.
Welcome.
J-Dog.
Welcome, Jameson.
Jamison.
Welcome, James.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
I need to ask you a question before we get into the 7-4 record and the 4-week win streak that Kansas went through. I want an honest answer to this question. Did you at any point during the season write the season off for your Kansas City Chiefs? Because I know we did here on the podcast for a few weeks.
Well, I was very close. The defense looked awful. Mahomes was running around, didn't look comfortable at all. And about 4 weeks ago, it looked like they could have gone easily 7-10. But they caught a lucky streak. They caught some teams on their heels. The Packers were without Rodgers. The Cowboys were without Amari Cooper, and then CeeDee Lamb went out with a concussion. And they throttled the Las Vegas Raiders, but they've had a whole host of off-field issues. So they've caught three tough teams at a good time. So I'm not quite sure their record is reflective of them being much better, but being a little bit lucky. So
I like the humility. Now, the Dallas game was quite interesting because we saw a few things that also changed. So the defense looked a little bit better. The offense seemed to be getting into motion a little bit. Mahomes a little bit more comfortable, less mistakes there. Now, you've got 3 division games coming up. You've got Denver, you've got the Raiders, then you've got the Chargers. This is going to be the critical part of the season. How do you see those 3 games going, considering that, you've got an extra boost of energy from the last few games?
Well, these are big-time games coming up. And here's the thing is that the Chiefs right now, they have a 2-4 conference record. And all of the other teams are hosting very good conference records. So the Chiefs not only have to do well in the conference, but they really need to do well in the division. And lucky for them, this week with the Broncos, they actually have a good chance to make Teddy Bridgewater beat him. Right. And I don't know that I think Teddy's a good quarterback. I don't think that he's a great quarterback. And that's going to be a lot about how Chris Jones shows up. If Chris Jones is up front and he's wrecking havoc, he's going to force Bridgewater to pass early. And those second-rate quarterbacks that the Chiefs have, because let's be honest, none of them are really better than a CB2. Right. But they'll get a chance to make a play. So, the whole defense rides on Chris Jones and whether he shows up or not. And I think that's what we've seen the last 4 weeks as well, as Chris Jones has showed up. And he did big time last week. And Dak looked awful because of it. Right. So that's then that aspect. And then if you look at who they have, the Raiders and the Chargers all in a row, and they looked really good against the Raiders. Hopefully that'll happen again in Kansas City. And then the Chargers are really a hot and cold team. But I think the Chargers are really the team that is better situated to beat the Chiefs than any of the other ones. And that's where it's a little bit worrying. But I have to say, in the last few weeks, the 2 rookies on the offensive line, let's switch over to the offense now. The 2 rookies on the offensive line, Creed and Trey Smith, these guys are moving people. They're pancaking defensive players on the line. They're doing really well. Those are 2 Pro Bowlers in the next few years. It's taken a long time for them to get comfortable and for Mahomes to get comfortable with those guys. But I think we're also seeing that it's the 4th year with Mahomes, and he has to show that he is a star talent by making the adjustments. And those adjustments are that he's got to sit in the pocket and he's got to have the maturity to make those short passes, because that's what being asked of him to do. And I think this coming week, especially with the Broncos, He's got a great mismatch with Travis Kelce right in the middle, as usual. And he should be milking that. I think Kelsey's going to get 10 catches this week.
Wow. Yeah. Now, all three other teams in your division are above 500. So when we're talking about playoff chances, there might be 3 teams from your division going to the playoffs. So I think the playoff discussion is no longer something that's a danger for Kansas. It's just how well can they build up towards that. Mark, what do you think would be a good record for Kansas in the next 3 games? So we've got Denver, the Raiders, and the Chargers. What would be a comfortable record for Jamison here?
I think they're going to go 3-0.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
back on the bandwagon. Let's go.
Yeah, no, but and this is why we said in the early days, you have to wait till week 8 and 10 and all this to see how the season pans out. They've got Kyle Long back from PUP, and I think he's going to add a bit of experience to the offensive line as well.
Right.
He's great when he's fit. Unfortunately, his problem in the last few years is always keeping fit. So I think he's going to help just his presence. I don't see anything in Vegas or Los Angeles or Denver that should scare Kansas. They've all got their flaws. I liked Raiders last week. I thought they played really well in Dallas. They hung in there, and they could have folded with, as Jameson mentioned earlier, they've got lots of drama and stuff, but they showed some real true grit. And I was impressed with Vegas. I think they're your biggest threat, personally. I think Chargers are kind of imploding a little bit.
It's almost the same story every year, right? The Chargers come with a lot of promise.
Shoot
they come
themselves
with a lot of,
in the foot.
And then something happens and they just, halfway through the season. Eugita, now we've seen, Dallas not looking very good against KC. That's 2 losses in a row. Unfortunately, your Eagles were not able to capitalize on that with their loss to the Giants. Where does the NFC East sit at the moment, in your opinion?
Well, you got to watch out for Washington. Washington is the team that's suddenly coming up. Taylor Heineke is looking like a non-subpar quarterback all of a sudden. They've got a good run game going with Antonio Gibson. Their defense is coming up a little bit. Like Jamison said, Dallas had issues with Amari Cooper not being there, CeeDee Lamb not being there. I think one of the biggest ones was their left tackle, the Smith. Ever since he's been out, the run game hasn't really been going with Pollard and Elliott. And there was also something about Elliott might be in injury for the next game. I don't know about that. But, Dallas needs to do a few things to pick up this. McCarthy might not be there for this Sunday's game. He's out on COVID. Maybe that helps Dan Quinn do a better job on defense, Kellen Moore on offense. So, look, it's still Dallas's division. If at all, just like the Chargers, it's their division to lose if they shoot themselves in the foot. If they get all their pieces back, they still have a chance in this. But, Dallas and Washington. Philly, I don't know what to tell you, man. We'll come up with that later.
Yeah, no, let's do it now. I mean, we've got the 3-game outlook now.
I'm not ready for Philly yet.
Well, look, you've lost to the Giants, but you've got the Jets, you've got Washington, and then you go back to the Giants in the next 3 games. It's something about, similar to the Chargers, shooting yourselves in the foot. I think you get a lot of opportunities to win games, and somewhere it goes wrong. Where is it going wrong at the moment?
Well, look, we talked about this last week, and I said, look, the Eagles realized that they couldn't win it off of Jalen Hurts throwing. And that was pure example of the Giants game. He went back to 31, 32 attempts. The run game was good, but, their first 5 drives, it was 3 and out, interception, loss and downs. So no point going 200 yards on the ground and then you throw an interception. For some crazy reason, he was trying to target Jalen Reagor against the Giants, and it was not happening. You have Devontae Smith. You got Dallas Goedert at 1 target. That's it, the whole game. So it's becoming clear that Eagles are not going to win anything on Hurts' passing game. And we've seen this around the league. There is no standalone run game. There's no standalone passing game. It's a mixture of both. And Hurts has got a lot to do. He's not accurate. One of the things that I noticed in the Giants game was the defense was easily able to look at his reads and cover those receivers very, very easily. So he's got to learn how to kind of disguise those reads. Because look, he's getting a lot of time. That O-line is playing crazy. It's still a great O-line. Right. So he's got to not hold the ball so long. He's got to hide his reads and just keep the run game going, make those long drives. And I told you guys, man, I'm not sure about the Giants game. I said this last week.
You did. You had your right? Reservations. Yeah,
division game. So I'm not sure who we got next, but it's a big one for Jalen Hurts to see how he comes after this.
Now, you guys at least are doing better than my Carolina Panthers. I am wearing the jersey of our fallen soldier, Christian McCaffrey, today, who is out for the rest of the season. And I told you guys not to get on this fairy tale ride of Cam Newton returning, because I've been watching 15, 16 years worth of Panthers games. And I've seen too many games to know that this guy can't throw the ball. And if anything, this was an absolute disaster.
Well, technically, Cam is in the preseason still, isn't he? He's only been in 3 games. So next week is when he should come out and play well.
He's on a bye next week, so that he gets that break. Yeah.
This is why you brought Jamison, to make you feel better with shit like that.
Some perspective. The glass half full. Well, let's talk about the empty half of the glass. 23% completion rate against Miami, 5 completions out of 21 attempts, 92 yards, 2 interceptions. That puts it at 10 straight losses for Cam Newton with the Panthers. If you take out, the stint that he spent with the Patriots. For me, I think this kind of wraps up this season for the Panthers. And I think Tepper is the kind of owner. He's the richest owner in the NFL, and he's the kind of guy that wants to win immediately. So I expect in this offseason for him to clear house. As far as I'm concerned, after that Miami game, Matt Rule should not have been allowed on the team bus. He should have been asked to jog or cab it or whatever back to Carolina, because that was an unbelievable. Him and Brady, the play calling was terrible. Cam Newton was absolutely terrible, and their handling of Christian McCaffrey and the Christian McCaffrey injury throughout, the timing of when they put him on IR, when they took him out of IR, they just probably ended McCaffrey's career as a player that you build your team around. From now on, he's not the reliable kind.
Which is a big problem, because they pay him a lot of money.
Yes, and we just renewed the contract recently. Yes.
Yeah. They pay him what, like $16 million a year? I mean, he's one of the highest paid running backs in the league.
Right.
So Mohammed, do you think that they're going to go after Jimmy G in San Francisco?
So there's quite a few candidates that are out there. So Tepper, if he's able to negotiate something for Aaron Rodgers in the offseason, that might be a kind of a stretch candidate out there. Aaron Rodgers probably wants to win another Super Bowl, and coming to Carolina might take a couple of years. You've got Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
All right. You've got Deshaun Watson, pending his legal problems, will be back in the mix as well. And then you've got Jimmy Garoppolo. So I expect one of those 4 quarterbacks to join Carolina. I know for sure that Cam Newton is not the answer, and I think that was clear, because and this is the kind of thing, when he came back, it was this kind of like fairy tale return, and the prodigal son has come back to Carolina, and he did the whole run to the middle and plant his flag and I'm back and all of that. But everybody is still kind of nostalgic. They're thinking about the 2015 Cam Newton, and that was a flash in the pan, and it's not happening again. The guy has always had a sub 60% completion rate in his career, and not the best decision making. He always held onto the ball for too long. He is an average quarterback, barely a starter. I've seen debates where people were debating who is more of a starter in the NFL, Heineke or Cam Newton. I would take Heineke in a heartbeat in that discussion. It's not even close. Yeah. But I think just Cam Newton comes with the personality, and people kind of just, I don't know, they clouds their judgment sometimes.
I think it was marketing. Honestly, I don't think it was about football. I think it was about marketing and raising the profile of the Panthers. You're going okay, and then there's this fuss, and it energized the fan base, not you, but A lot of the fans got very enthusiastic. You know, it's playoff bound and all this nonsense.
It saves them from a PR disaster. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that, because the Sam Darnold thing, no one's talking about the Sam Darnold disaster and the fact that we put all our eggs in that basket and that basket fell and all the eggs cracked. Nobody's talking about that, but it cost 10 million to get rid of that PR disaster. As far as I'm concerned, that's all it is.
They had a golden opportunity to really use him as a situational player, and they just went ahead and shot themselves in the foot with that.
Yep.
I thought he brought a ton of energy, and then he brought anxiety to the opposing defense with the fact that they would bring him in for a short yardage situation. Because he can throw the ball 10 yards, we know that.
Yeah.
He can run the ball 10 yards, we know that. And he does those two things quite well.
Right. But
and asking him to do more than that is outside of his box. So,
and the Panthers are now 0-17 in games where they don't score more than 22 points. I mean, that's just...
worst of all, it's affected your defense, your top 3-5 defense at the start of the season. It's no longer there.
Yeah.
And that's tough.
And I think it's very tough to also expect that Chuba Hubbard will take the running back responsibilities. Again, he's
which he did a good job. He did a good job when he had
we've been scraping the bottom of the battle in free agency and in the transfer market and all of that. I would go for Kerryon Johnson or Todd Gurley, who are still free agents at the moment, just to try and save the season and preserve our running back, our rookie running back.
I know Carolina's going through a tough time, but should we give a little bit more credit to Miami?
Oh, absolutely. Miami are on a winning streak. I think 3 games right now.
It's four
straight games.
Yeah. I mean, I think their coach went from being, in the hot seat to being in a very comfortable position. I mean, he's revived the team. And by the way, Miami have always been late bloomers in the season. I mean, historically as well. So they get going. It takes them a while to get going as well.
And let's not forget, Brian Flores is from the Bill Belichick school of, coaching. Yeah, this is it's the New England defensive system there, and
they've got the Giants coming down to Miami this weekend, and that's a winnable game, you've got to say, and that would take them to 6 and 7, so that kind of puts them in the mix.
Absolutely.
Look,
go ahead.
The Giants, they really don't have an offense. I mean, they won the Philly game because Philly screwed up. They don't have an offense, and that Miami's and listen, Tua is playing better ever since the whole Deshaun Watson nonsense, went on the ground, disappeared. He's playing better. Jalen Waddle, he's one of the best wide receivers in the league at the moment. And they got this crazy defense. So, they got a good shot.
Whilst we're on the AFC East, we've got a heck of a game coming up this weekend. The Buffalo Bills against the New England Patriots. And the only team that has a better winning streak than Kansas is New England with a 6-game winning streak. They're at 8-4. They've kind of risen to the top right now. Jamison, where do you see this? Buffalo, I mean, looked okay. They beat New Orleans, but it was a New Orleans team led by Trevor Siemian. It didn't really tell us that much.
Yeah.
Is there a chance that Buffalo returns in the way that KC returned as well? Are there signs there that things might be on the mend?
For Buffalo, I've had a hard time figuring out Buffalo as a team. I know that Josh Allen is really good, but he's more versatile than anything. I never really felt that his accuracy was all that great, but I mean, he's performed and has done the job, so people have been happy with him. I'm more concerned about the fact that the New England offense looks so good with so many unknown players. I can't tell you a single receiver on the team. No, wait, Aguilar? But he's not
Aguilar,
he's not even the main guy. So the fact that they're humming right along and they've got a rookie quarterback doing it, it just kind of tells you how good of a coach that Belichick is. And I was really hoping to see somebody else win the AFC East, but I mean, here are the Patriots again. Right. And they look good. They look efficient. That Belichick's good at managing the clock. They get the ball down the field, and they score those points at the end. They push to do the points at the end of the half. They get those fourth quarter opportunities. They try to take advantage of them. They do a lot of the right things as a well-coached team, and I think the Bills fall short of that a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I think the Patriots are going to win this one, not by a big one, but by a touchdown.
Yeah. Now, Mark, a lot of people were questioning at the beginning of the season or in the last year with Tom Brady leaving and winning the Super Bowl. They were questioning Bill Belichick's GOAT status. Regardless of what happens here, if they get to the playoffs, win a couple of games or lose with Mac Jones, does that put the argument to rest? Bill Belichick, the greatest of all time when it comes to coaching?
I think the streak they're going through at the moment puts paid to that argument. I really do. As Jamison said, it's a team of no names from outside of Foxborough. Who's heard of anyone? So I think it's a remarkable job that he and Josh McDaniel particularly are doing. Can we even name all of their coaches? That's the thing.
Right.
It's all kind of
who's their running back?
Exactly. Now,
Damian Harris, I think, or something. I have him in fantasy football. That's the only reason why I know his name. That's it.
No, I think the argument's gone. He should never have been there anyway. It was a nonsense thing to say he's not the greatest. You look at his record, he's the greatest. I think that if the Patriots win this weekend, they go to 9-4, and the Bills go to 7-5.
Yes.
I know they've got to play again in Foxborough in a couple of weeks' time, 3 weeks, I think it is.
No, so they've got the Pats, then they've got the Buccaneers, then they've got the Panthers, that's Buffalo. And then I think they go back to
3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks time.
Yeah, 3 weeks time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually think this is a must-win game for Buffalo.
Yes. Because
they get too far back, and sure they're going to win they're going to beat Carolina. Tampa's going to be a tough one for them. It's possible for them to lose 3 out the next 4 games.
Right.
And it's likely. If we say that they're going to lose both New England games and the Tampa game, but we did call Buffalo as our Super Bowl team at the beginning of the season, and they've still got all that ability. It's all still there. It's not clicking right at the moment. If it doesn't click on Monday night, they're in trouble. They're going to get to the postseason, but they're not going to be going in there with a head of steam.
So for me, Buffalo was the AFC pick. The NFC pick for me was Green Bay. And Yujita, I think Green Bay are rising to the top of the NFC right now with Aaron Rodgers making no mistakes. I mean, I don't know how he does it. Can anybody stop Green Bay in the NFC? Who's out there that can do something about Aaron Rodgers?
Dude, that sentence you said, it can't be more true, man. I mean, they don't make mistakes. And it's very rare to see them make mistakes. And Aaron Rodgers doesn't play risky football. Even if he does, it's that first read laser throw double cover to Devontae Adams, and you know he's gonna get it. So and apart from that, they'll make you play for 60 minutes and force you to make mistakes. And I mean, you can say Arizona, but I don't know which Kyler Murray comes back after his injury. DeAndre Hopkins. I know Colt McCoy has done a good job trying to keep that team together. 2-1 record, I think, for him. So Arizona on defense, they got James Conner in the backfield. That's looking like a team that could give them trouble. But for me, San Fran, the Niners, that is the team that can have an impact on Green Bay and the NFC, just because Kyle Shanahan is making some statement wins right now. I mean, he's telling you he's back. Those offensive schemes, what he's dialing up, it's some crazy stuff there, man. Deebo Samuels, we talked about him last week. This guy is like kind of flex, kind of Cordell Patterson type of guy. Right. He does everything, rushing. Elijah Mitchell, and they got a defense as well. So for me, I think San Fran has, I think, a better chance than Arizona if it comes to the NFC Championship to get Green Bay.
I think what's going to happen is Tom Brady's going to show up. It's going to be Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady's going to show him who his daddy is.
In that one game, and that's it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if Tampa get their people back, I mean, they've got corners on. If they get their full everybody back, yeah, they could. They could be the one.
Right. Now, in the NFC West, so the 49ers go to Seattle this weekend. Now, Seattle, three 3-game, losing streak right now. Russell Wilson looking like Tiger Woods after that accident. I've seen a lot of memes of Russell Wilson that they've made about him. But is Russ done in Seattle? Is it officially over for him over there? Jamison, what do you think?
No, he's the identity of the team. They'll keep him there. They'll do.
There was a lot of. In preseason, there was a lot of chatter that there was a disagreement between him and the management, and that he was looking to move on. Do you think they managed to keep him there?
I think they do. I think they do what it takes to keep him there. I think he's too good of a player to let him go. But if he does go, they're gonna get a couple first-round picks without question for him. But I don't see him leaving. I don't see a team paying the price to get him, because he's going to command a lot on that negotiation.
Right.
So
Carolina would play it in a heartbeat.
I honestly feel on both sides we would overpay for a quarterback, and we probably need to if we want to contend in any way. But I also feel like the story arc of Russell Wilson in Seattle has run its course. Even with Pete Carroll, and the way that the team has gone from the Legion of Boom to the Legion of I don't know what right now. I mean, it's absolutely terrible. They've lost a lot of pieces. There doesn't seem to be a lot of cohesion within the team. They're not the force that they used to be. And I think Russell Wilson has the ability to say, all right, I'm done here. I've paid my dues. I've won you guys the Super Bowl. And now I need to go and look for change of scenery. Similar to what's going on with Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay, different circumstances. But I think, we've come to the end of the story there. So I definitely see him moving on from Seattle at the end of the
I was surprised on Monday night watching them in Washington. And the play calling was very, very strange. DK Metcalf got one target, I think, in the first half. And you think to yourself, hang on, you're really struggling to move the chains. I'll
tell you what the problem is with DK Metcalf. He's not as fast as people think he is. I don't think he's able to get that.
But he's not getting targeted.
Yeah.
And Mark's point is he's not getting targeted.
He's able to move the chains, man. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He can move the chains for you. Even if he only has to run 3 yards, he's strong enough, he's big enough, he's ugly enough that he can do it. So
he can get a couple of yards after contact.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I kept waiting for him to get the big pass or something, and it didn't happen. And I just thought, what's going on? Why are they not using him? Is it a problem between Metcalf and the coaches, Metcalf and Wilson? What's going on that we don't know about?
Right.
A little bit better.
Metcalf was upset, wasn't he? He was visually upset on the sideline.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he was livid, actually. He couldn't understand what was going on. We're trying to read minds through television. But to me, he looked very frustrated. And why? What's happening? What have I done?
Yeah. That's why I agree with Jamison, man. If Seattle wants, because obviously it's going to be a rebuild now, and if they want to do that, I don't see it happening around Pete Carroll. I see it happening about Russell Wilson. Pete Carroll he looks like he's going to have a stroke anytime on the sideline. That's what
he's the oldest coach in the NFL right now.
Sorry, Mark. I mean, there's nothing against senior citizens, but
he is the Mark Sherman of the NFL right now.
Yeah, that's right. He goes nowhere. He stays right here. But if that rebuild's going to happen, it's got to be with Russell. There's so many issues with, like you said, defense, Metcalf, target, all of that stuff. And that's got to do with play calling, Pete Carroll. They need Russell Wilson to stay and rebuild. And
I will give Washington some credit for Monday night. They played well, but Seattle have played really poorly now against Green Bay, against Washington, and you just think, hang on, this isn't the Seattle of last year or the last few years.
Yeah, that era is over.
Team at the moment. It really doesn't.
So we've already mentioned Pete Carroll as a coach on the hot seat. I've mentioned Matt Rule earlier as a coach that should be on the hot seat, proven to be a good college coach, but not an NFL caliber coach. Now, if we're talking about other coaches, Matt Nagy, I mean, we've covered this almost every week right now. I think he's top of the list right now. And it's strange. It's strange what happens in Chicago. They're looking for the excuse, I feel, to get rid of him, but it's not happening. If we look at other coaches that you feel are in the hot seat, who would you come up with? I mean, we've got...
Mike Zimmer should be.
I don't think so. I actually disagree with that. I think Minnesota at 5-6. Yeah, Green Bay are 9-3, but they've shown signs that, you know, things can start working out. So I think there's probably some ownership, like some rope that the ownership will throw Mike Zimmer, because you need to go into a bad streak of play calling, of losses, of whatever it is, to for those rumors to come up. But I think every time they're about to kind of hit that point, something happens. They win a game and they look good. And Kirk Cousins is like, I think, what is it, 23 touchdowns and 3 interceptions this year. Yes, a lot of it might be garbage time stuff, but he's a okay quarterback at the moment.
San Francisco made him look good.
He's ranked in the top 10 right now, isn't he?
Oh,
yes,
yeah. Top 5.
Well, I mean, if Cousins is playing well and the record is 5-6, the finger is going to get pointed at Zimmer.
Right.
Exactly.
For me, the coach that should be near the top of the list with Nagy is Urban Meyer. I think every time a college team starts looking for a coach, his name gets added to the mix. He's always in the rumor mill there. I don't think it's working out for him in the NFL. It's another, what do you call it? Chip Kelly situation.
It might be a mutual decision at the end of the year.
Right.
As opposed to just a sacking. They might just find that they're the wrong people for that place. So I can see it happening.
Yeah.
I think everyone called Matt, every head coach called Matt should be out.
Called Matt has to go.
The year of the Matt.
And Matt LaFleur as well.
What would you guys say about
now Matt LaFleur?
Is Matt LaFleur coach of the year? He has to be right now.
Well, alongside Cliff Kingsbury. Matt LaFleur. Kyle Shanahan, the way the Niners are coming up, I don't know.
If Matt LaFleur's great, he's got to win with Jordan Love. If he does that...
come on. You can't raise that. Not everyone is a Bill Belichick. Not everyone is a Bill Belichick. Okay?
No.
Such an NFC North.
Bill Belichick's going to win with Mac Jones. So he's got to win with Jordan Love. And it might be next season. If he does it next season, I'm going to give him loads of credit. Until he does it without a Hall of Famer, 20-year starter or whatever he is, 15-year starter at quarterback, he's a good coach at the moment. He's a very good coach. And
by the same argument, Mark, Tom Brady is only the greatest if he moves to the Detroit Lions or to the New York Jets and wins the Super Bowl. Otherwise, it doesn't count.
No, he moved to Tampa, and Tampa weren't great. They brought in a lot of pieces with him.
Yeah,
sorry,
he brought a lot of pieces.
They weren't great.
Yep.
He could go to Detroit and they would still be Detroit, I'm afraid, because there's a culture there that...
Well, if he wins with Dan Campbell coaching him, then that's
the ball game.
Yeah. You know, they're incredible year after year. Thank goodness they're in the North, because otherwise we would look really bad.
And you see, Jamison, we're trying to look everywhere apart from Bill Belichick. I mean, that's the easiest kind of pick. We're trying to go Matt LaFleur. We're looking at San Francisco.
Yeah.
But Bill Belichick has to be right now, the way that he's done it with a rookie quarterback. I mean, he has to be in the conversation, if not outright.
He's coach of the year at the moment. If he gets to the playoff, he's coach of the year.
Yeah.
I don't think there is an if anymore.
I don't think there's
New England.
Yeah.
There's no if.
Well, you know what's so impressive about it is that at the beginning of the season, there was not one expert who said that Mac Jones was the best quarterback out of the draft. Actually, they all said that, he was underwhelming. His ceiling would be reached very quickly. And if you look at what's going on, is that Mac Jones is easily having the best season of all rookie quarterbacks, if not of all rookies. I mean, aside from Micah Parsons and Jamar Chase, but Mac Jones is having an incredible rookie season.
But again,
the first couple of games, sorry, Jesus, first couple of games, he looked very shaky, and he wasn't very good, but they just kept with him. You could feel Josh McDaniel going up to him and saying, "Don't worry about it, mate. It's gonna come. It's gonna come." And
That's the coaching right there. How you can develop
Exactly.
a rookie quarterback. You have to get the nerves out in the first few games.
And
But then,
So actually, is the coach of the year McDaniels, not Belichick?
oh,
Could be.
maybe.
That's
maybe.
a nice one. I want him for head coach for Chicago next year. That's my sort of left.
Many
foot.
have
look,
tried before you.
With New England, it's just not only the offense, and you talked about not knowing names. Judon and Jackson on the New England defense. These two guys are up for defensive players of the year.
Yeah.
And so it's not only the offense. And just two names which Jameson mentioned, Micah Parsons and Jamar Chase. Now, in terms of Mac Jones' development, those guys, we haven't heard much of them lately because Jamar Chase has been covered a lot. He's been covered, so they've been going to Joe Mixon now. And Micah Parsons, we're not hearing much of him as we did. So the Mac Jones development over the last few weeks, has been phenomenal. It's been incredible.
Yeah.
He's playing like a wet.
Here's a question, Jamison. Now, I know the MVP and the coach of the year and all of that is usually done based on the regular season. Should the NFL change the rules of that to include the playoffs as well, at least to the NFC and AFC championship games? Because I feel that doesn't provide the regular season on its own. Some people shine in the playoffs and they get their teams to win the Super Bowl and they don't really get anything.
Well, the legends are made in the playoffs. But the reality is that most MVP players are playing in the playoffs anyway.
Right.
I'm trying to remember an MVP player whose team didn't make it to the playoffs, and I can't think of any.
One year, J.J. Watt just was killing everybody. He had, I think, the highest number of sacks in the NFL, but his team didn't even make the playoffs. But he, on his own, as a highlight reel, you can make a 10-minute clip of him just pancaking people, in your words. So but that happens sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, but that might be. I was struggling to think of anybody else.
right.
But really, like, to include it into the playoffs, I would think that's not really fair. I would think that it would disclude too many extremely good players.
Okay, so we'll keep it as it is. We won't send our petition to the NFL just yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not on that one.
All right. On last topic, let's talk about the pretenders and the actual good teams that might reach the playoffs. So if we look, we've already talked about San Francisco in the NFC as a real team that can actually get there. They're on a 3-game winning streak. We've got Washington, who have looked good and taken opportunities. We've got Minnesota there. So out of these three, I think it's safe to assume that you'd rank San Francisco at the top, Washington second, and Minnesota third. Is there another team in the NFC that could surprise us in the coming weeks?
Chicago, 1 game out of the playoffs. I just want to say that.
Which is the truth.
It is. They've got an easy game at home to Arizona at the weekend, so they're obviously going to win that. So they'll go to 5-7 and be in the playoffs.
Hey, if Carolina can beat Arizona, so
it's funny, Mark. It's funny, Mark, when you decide to suddenly look at statistics and records and try to generate hope from these. I mean, it's
let's face it. Chicago's got 0 chance the way they're playing. 16 against Detroit. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Come on. No.
Speaking of crazy stats, here's one I came across. Aaron Rodgers at home, leading at the half, 72-1-1. That's his record.
Oh my God!
Incredible.
Leading at the half.
Leading at the half, 72-1-1.
Yeah.
I mean, what idiot goes against them? Someone did last Saturday. Yeah.
We've picked against him quite a few times at home in Lambeau as well.
Yeah.
That's.
This guy picked him Rams against him.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah. Same here. All right. On the AFC, I think I've got Cincinnati 7-4. Baltimore are just 1 game ahead of them at 8-3. We've got Indy 6-6. Tennessee are first in that division with 8-4. So we've got Cincinnati, Indy, and Denver. You can include Denver, Chargers, or the Raiders there. They all have 6-5 records. Who's the pretender, Jamison? Who's the real team here? Contender.
Well, that's a tough one.
Bengals.
The Bengals are definitely contenders. I mean, Burrow looks really good. The other ones, I think the Colts are really contenders. Wentz can't carry the team, but the team itself is good enough to make the playoffs.
Right.
Out of the AFC West, I would almost take the Broncos over the Chargers or the Raiders. I think they have a very solid team, and their secondary is the best in the league. So
Right.
I think that would put it over the edge. But yeah, the Raiders are pretenders, Chargers pretenders. Yeah.
Other than New England, which team in the AFC would you be scared of the most in the playoffs?
The Ravens. I mean, Lamar Jackson can just do things. I mean, the guy is unbelievable. So, and somehow, some way that Ravens defense, it's like an aura that's part of them. That all of a sudden they show up and they're there. They're like this purple curtain.
Right.
Yeah, it's curtains. Yeah.
Really well coached team as well.
Yeah.
Really well coached team.
Well, I would love to direct the question to the rest of us here, but I think we're scared of our games every single week, judging by how our teams are playing right now. So
on the AFC, we could give Tennessee a look as well. If Derrick Henry comes back in the playoffs,
is there a chance that he comes back this year?
Yeah, but there was.
There's a report
that
says. I just saw a report that said that he was not coming back.
Right. Yeah.
Which is a bit sad. I mean, he was like, 60 yards away from a 1,000-yard season?
Yeah. After about 6 games or something. So
they still did 200 yards on New England.
Yeah.
Who ran for 200 yards in New England?
Exactly.
Against them.
Exactly.
So, Tennessee.
And they've let go of Adrian Peterson, right?
Yeah.
They waived him a couple of games.
I think 3 games.
Bring him on to the Panthers. Yeah. I mean,
the Seahawks just picked him up.
Oh, so he picked him up.
He actually has a chance again to take over the space of Barry Sanders on the all-time record.
Oh,
me!
He's only like 200 yards away, something like that.
There's your Detroit guy again.
Yeah.
There's a guy who wasted his career in the wrong
in the wrong. I mean, there is no other, is there? I mean,
Megatron.
I can't really
think. Megatron.
Megatron is another one.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. All right. Cool. Well, this was nice. Thanks, guys. We'll wrap up on that thought. And for everybody else, comment, subscribe, and like. Thank you, Jamison. I think you brought us a very interesting perspective with the KC, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of you right now. Yes.
Well, that's it. 2 fingers. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, four game winning streak. I would have my shades on as well. I mean, yeah. So,
I had it that 1 week that we beat Atlanta. That was it. It ain't coming
that was
back.
the turning point of the season.
That was it. Yeah.
You wore your shades too early, you know.
Yeah. Don't make that mistake, Jamison. Even though you look cool. Yeah. Future ain't that bright. Yeah.
I think with me and Mark, there's more of a chance that you'd see us holding umbrellas than shades. So all right, guys. Thanks a lot. We'll see you guys on Saturday.
Thanks for coming,
segment.
See you guys.
Thanks, Jameson. See you again soon as well. Thanks, guys.
See you later.